Hello, and welcome to Fairy Fane Things, your one-stop shop for everything mystical, magical, and fantastical. And today we will be making Tinkerbell. I'll be using a Gen 3 Draculaura doll. Her shorter stature and curvier body are perfect for the short-tempered fairy. First, we need to remove this head, and with a little editing magic, she's ready. Start by cutting her hair off, using scissors to get as close to the root as I can. Then I use needle nose pliers and a sculpting tool to scrape out the hair from inside her head. I remove chunks of hair, making sure to remove all of it. All the hair is out, I grab my 100% acetone nail polish remover that I got from the dollar store and start to remove her face. My biggest recommendation for removing the face is to dot, not swipe. Swiping will cause the factory paint to smudge and it's even harder to get out. Getting in the cracks of the lips was difficult, and because I'm going to paint over her, I just left them. I also removed the pink on her scalp because I want to repaint it. It is so satisfying to me to have like a blank doll ready for customization. It's such a good feeling. I find this color in camel that's close to the blonde hair that I want to use. I start painting around her scalp, making sure to get as close to the edge as possible. It was around this point I realized that Tinkerbell has bangs, and Draculaura's pointed widow's peak was not going to work out. So I unfortunately realized I have to poke some more holes. I use the camel paint to make a general map of where to put the new hairline, and I stab it with a needle. It's now time to reroot the hair. I'm using Dolly Hair's nylon doll hair in the color Butter Pecan. I was originally planning on making the hair out of yarn, but instead of getting the golden color I ordered, I got an orange color. So I looked through some of my supplies and luckily I found this hair. Stepped on me, stepped on me. He was practically dancing on me. Broken, snapped, I don't know. My last reroot, I did not have enough hair, so I'm planning to go around her head and leave the center circle bald. So when you tie up the bun, you won't be able to see the bald spot. Luckily, I did end up with enough hair, so I didn't have to go around like that, but better safe than sorry. glue dried out, so I decided to use Uhu glue instead, and it seems to have worked pretty all right. I rejoined the head and the body. I also had a hard time deciding how to adjust her skin tone, and there were a lot of failures, so I didn't record much, but I ended up spraying her with Mr. Super Clear, then using pan pastels to get this color. After the skin debacle, I am happy to start on her face up. Tinkerbell is known for being getting really red when she gets angry. So I'm using a red pastel to blush her body and her face. I also go in with a little green pastel for her eyes for some eyeshadow. I go ahead and sketch out her eyes using a light brown color. And I go in with a blue watercolored pencil to fill in her irises. Then I go in with a light brown yellow shade to shape her eyebrows. Yet another unfortunate event. I lost the footage of me doing the face up, which is such a disappointment because I love doing the face up and I'm kind of upset about it. Anyway, I use this golden sparkly nail shimmer and I spread it on her face to give that kind of fairy glow. And then I go in with Liquitex matte varnish, but if you don't water it down, it kind of gives you a semi-gloss thing, so I use it over her eyes and her lips. Now we can start styling the hair. I curl the bangs using a straw and some bobby pins, and then I dip the head in hot and cold water. Once the hair is set, I kind of had no idea where to go from here. So I ended up making this weird bun in the back and then taking the front section and pulling it over the bun. And then I braided the remaining hair that was sticking out and tied it around the bun. And finally, I got this green leafy ribbon that I had lying around and I tied it around the bun as a little hair tie. Now we can work on her dress. I made these leaf templates off screen. With her being a fairy, I wanted her dress to look like it was made of leaves. So I sketched the template onto some green fabric. Then I bubble cut it. I create notches on the outside of the fabric and use Uhu glue to fold it over. I accidentally added too much glue, but it's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Then I fold it in half, trying to create that line that's usually down a leaf. Then I make 5 more. So I start laying the leaves over top of the doll to kind of get an outline of what I want, and then I use these little clips to clip the leaves in place. And then I use this gold thread to sew it all together. I'm using gold, so if it peeks through, it's like a little bit of magic fairy dust, and surprise, it does peek through. So while I was sketching her out, I really wanted to make her look more like a Tinker Fairy. But no matter what I did, she didn't look like Tinkerbell unless she had the strapless dress on. So I'm going to be adding Tinker in other ways, but we're keeping the classic dress. After creating this corset kind of top, I wanted to add some glamour. So I got some sparkly ribbon and I cut out 2 strips to add to the top of the dress. So I cut out some more green leaves, and I cut out around 10 of them, and then using the same sparkly fabric, I cut out 5 sparkly leaves, and I began to attach them to the dress. I use pastels to sort of make it more leaf-like. I go in with a darker green and shade in the shadows, and then I go in with a yellow and highlight. Now, I love sparkly things, like sparkly dresses. So I searched through all of my art supplies to find green beads and glitter and sequins, and I began laying it out on the dress. I didn't really like how the sequins looked, so I cut them up into quarters and I used those for adding the sparkly. I'm attaching all the beads and glitter and all of that with Uhu glue. And with that, our dress is finished. Time to make some accessories. I wanted to make a necklace for Tink because I feel like she's such a maximalist. So I find some beads laying around, and I find this big, like, weird looking bead, and I string them all onto a necklace. Let's start on the wings. It took a lot of trial and error, but I eventually figured out how to make them. You use a gold thread and UV resin to create the sort of outline and the pretty like details and textures. And to make sure that you can stick it into the back of the doll, you use a gold wire. And then once all of that is set in place, I go in with a green resin. I take clear resin and then I add green to it. And I start to fill it in the corners that connect to the doll. I go in with the clear UV resin and fill in the rest of the wing. And I do this for all 4 wings. Then I go over the resin with the same nail glitter shine that I used on the face. I use a nail drill to drill into her back. I also use the same nail drill to drill holes for where I want her earrings to go. Then I use UV resin to glue the wing into place. So I found this little pamphlet about Tinkerbell and it said her favorite flower was Lily of the Valley. And I thought it would be a great idea to incorporate her favorite flower. So I'm making Lily of the Valley earrings. I sculpt these little flower charms out of clay, making a teardrop shape, flattening it, and then putting 4 of them together, rolling it, and making a stem. Once the stem is rolled, I use a needle clay tool and I stab it through the thickest part so that I can add the little golden loop thingy. I don't know what it's called. What's it called? Then, once all of them are baked, I start to paint them white. Then I take this green wire and I thread it through her ears. I add the flower charms on the stem and then wrap it around her ear. So I found this faux leather and I wanted to use it for a bag. I thought it'd be fun for Tink to have a bag to collect all her lost things. So I cut a strip of the leather and I folded it, leaving some fabric on top. I sew it together with the same gold thread, except I purposefully show off the gold thread. I wanted it to have a handmade quality to it. Is this just an excuse for my awful sewing? Maybe. I feel like the dark brown is too dark, so I go in with a metallic gold, a metallic rust, and brown to make the bag lighter. I paint the 2 sparkly colors, then wipe it off, leaving the sparkle in the grooves of the bag. Then I add brown where I think the leather might be a little worn. I tried multiple buttons while trying to make this bag work. I found this bead and I tried to sew it on. It didn't work, so I eventually just decided to glue it with some Uhu glue. I cut a long, thin strip of leather to make the part of the bag that goes over her shoulder. I glue another strip down on the back to cover up the white side of the leather. Then I paint in between them with a dark brown. And I use Uhu glue to attach it. Looked a little weird without a button, so I found this tiny gold bead to use. Then I take off the straps. I didn't like them, and I found this twine instead, so using Uhu glue, I stick the twine on the bag. So I was inspired by some concept art that I found of a scrap TV show called Tinker Academy, where Tinkerbell is wearing goggles, so I decided to make some goggles. I wrap strips of Worbla around a Sharpie to get that cylinder shape, and then I sand it down. And then I cut out a long strip of brown leather. I attach it to either side of the goggles on opposite end. Then I cut it in half and add Velcro. Out a smaller strip of the brown leather and attach it between both of the goggles. Then I paint it brown and dry brush it with a gold and sparkly rust color. I used resin to make the glasses, and I used the matcha green paint to tint the glasses green. Then I used scissors to cut them to the appropriate size so that they fit in the frame. Moving on to the shoes. I sketch out a rough shape on the bottom of her foot with Worbla, and I cut it out. I heat it up with a heat gun to form the Worbla to the bottom of her foot. The shoes to look like they're made of leaves, so I cut out little leaf shapes out of more Worbla and heat them up to form on the shoes. 2 on the sides, 1 on the back, and 3 in front. I add a line down the middle with my sculpting tools to give it more of a leaf look. Once the leaves are in place, I cut out another rough foot shape and form it to the bottom of the shoe. Then I use this green wire to make vines climbing up Tinkerbell's leg. I want it to look like the Disney Fairies logo. I sprayed the shoes with Mr. Super Clear, then painted them green using a sap green. Then I dry brush it with a sparkly yellow green. And of course, Tinkerbell needs little pom-poms on her shoes. And with a little faith, trust, and pixie dust, she's ready. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, please like, subscribe, and comment down below.